Last week, two different persons' testimonies appeared on YouTube, one by a person named Emery Prince, who lives in Brazil, and the other by another Brazilian named Marcos Santos, none of them having to do anything to do with the other. What has led me to make this video is each of these individuals give a separate, different testimony that Kenzo and Robert Asushi are not only not real, as I have myself exposed, but are not from God, as I have also been saying in videos I have made exposing that the Asushis are 2 Timothy 4:4 fables that are running wild on the internet, deceiving great numbers of people to turn from the truth, just like the verse in Timothy says. And new viewers may not know that the reason I have these videos also in Portuguese is not because I speak Portuguese, which I don't, but because Brazil is the origination from where these videos with these invented characters arise from. And so the mission the Lord has put me on to bring that to the attention of the people there has necessitated me to also translate this to their language, which is why I'm reading this script, because it's easier for me to translate an already written script. Now, any testimony that comes my way that helps to open the eyes of the people that these are dangerous fables that should be rejected according to the Bible, I am going to cover. Particularly even more now since Daniel of Evangelismo Online channel started last month a campaign to increase fervor about these Asushi myths as a contrived propaganda to overwhelm by numbers videos, as a video I have on my channel sharing an alert from a mother that her son is suffering from demonic possession after watching Kenzo and Robert Asushi videos, and my other videos exposing them as myths believers must reject, as we are only to hold to what is true, not cherry pick from lies, and keep out of those what is true, for that is sitting at the table of demons, which condemns us and proves us not with the Lord. Now, I knew about Emery's vision ahead of time because he shared it with me a month before he made his own video of it. And I will just tell you the short description of it he told me. And if you want to see it in more detail, you can go to Emery's channel and see the video he made. That said, here is Emery's vision. A week ago, I, Emery, saw a black paper, and there it was written, Asushi Organization. I realized that the sorceresses behind this fake clan were traveling to 4 African sorcerers located in Zimbabwe, Africa, where the alleged Ranamasona was located, to have the sorcerers send darts of sudden illness to kill through diseases those who denigrate the image of Asushi. And when I saw all this, I also saw that some inflamed darts were thrown in the head and others in the heart. Some represent darts of death, and others were represented by darts of physical illnesses and mental disturbances. That was when the voice of the Lord told me, "They will not prevail against the saints." And when he said that, my vision was over. So then I found it interesting that a few days later, here was this other testimony by Marcos Santos, giving a different kind of revelation that actually did not clash with Emery's. And so it is not a situation where only one can be true, as it is as those who believe the Asushi exists and claim to get dreams confirming, whereas Emery and Marcos have revelations confirming they are not real, and of those groups only one can be right. They are real or they are not. So this is not the case between Emery's revelation and Marcos's, as they can both not only be right, but complement one another and make a full picture. What I mean by that is, as you just heard, Emery's revelation is about the demonic powers behind it. And Marcus's, which I will share in a video of its own, is about the divine revelation of the human motivation of the persons accepting to work with these powers to promote this fake at Sushi Clan, whether these people are doing so by full knowledge or just accepting the temptation the demonic put in their hearts. From this new perspective, it lets me share with you, by the example of Emery's vision on the demonic powers he saw, which is actually true, whether or not they are exactly the ones Emery saw or not, because behind every wickedness lies Satan. And by this, how Satan lies behind every evil, educate you how by that, why these testimonies are so powerfully entertaining, along the line of compelling novel writing, movie-level fiction. It gives me a chance in that light to broaden your understanding just how the demonic spirits work with some people who make pacts with them to give them unusual success in projects Satan has interest in towards his evil ends. Now, such people do not have to knowingly sign a contract or agreement with the devil. They can, though, enter into such a pact and receive such demonic assistance if they are in such a position to perform what the devil wants, such as in this case involving this Sushi scheme, where some people have accepted the temptation to distort the Word of God at all costs for self-enrichment. A well-known biblical example of this is with Judas. Luke 22 reveals Judas had accepted to do the work of the devil, and with Satan having entered within him, accepted the devil's influence to sell access to Jesus to the chief priests and make money from that transaction. And to finish the job, the Bible shows in John 13 how the devil actually once more entered into Judas's physical body to complete the pact he had succeeded in having Judas make earlier with the chief priests. Luke 22:3-5. Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, who was of the number of the 12. He went away and conferred with the chief priests and officers how he might betray him to them. And they were glad and agreed to give him money. John 13:27. And when Judas had taken the piece of bread, Satan entered into him. Then Jesus said to Judas, "What you are about to do, do quickly." And this sort of interaction with the demonic with willing people is still going on today. I myself posted on my channel when over 30 years ago I saw a man in full daylight possessed by a demonic force. And that man went back into his house with his family, did his normal business with them, while like Judas, carrying out a plan under the influence of that evil now inside of him. And the Lord showed me through this how you can be interacting with people who behave like themselves, don't seem any different, and have themselves no idea they are now under the control of a demonic power, and they are, as Judas was possessed by Satan, doing particular jobs for the demonic force literally inside of them and working through them. And sometimes that demonic power within them can be the reason they can produce material that is powerful and get success, including producing fantastic testimonies that engage and hook viewers, which contain errors and ideas that cause people to believe in things that trick them to turn from the faith and walk the popular road to hell. I want to give you a real-life example of demonic spirits doing just that, which is producing written materials for humans to use for the demon's evil goals. To further drive this home, this is not a flight of fancy. This particular example I want to briefly talk about because it is a published work and because there are witnesses behind what this author had to reveal of his own involvement with demon spirits, and so carries more weight of credibility than, say, the personal testimonies you may find on the internet about demon experiences from faceless persons with robot voices, or even the persons talking you have no way to verify if they are who they say they are and the reality of what they said. And it comes from the autobiographical account by Roger Morneau, which is under two names: A Trip into the Supernatural, which was the first edition written decades ago, which I had read this in, and a new expanded version called Charmed by Darkness, which actually soon will be released as a film. Now briefly, Roger Morneau, who died a few years ago, was a Canadian man who in the 1940s was tempted by spiritualism that actually led him to an organization of demon worshippers where Satan and some of the fallen angels would appear in physical form and interact with the worshippers at the level of a tightly run business organization, not the kind of forest demon worshippers you normally think of. And this particular event, Roger relates, that sheds light how these Aschussi testimonies can be so engaging that they hook the viewers and deliver movie theater level stories, is this. Roger Morneau, who later on did get delivered to become a Seventh-day Adventist, which to me was another demonic scheme and doesn't detract from this event I'm telling you. At the time of this was in his early 20s, and he relates how one time while he was at this place of satanic worship, he was taken into a room he'd often pass by and hear incredible typing going on. What he learned when he went in there surprised him. Inside he saw 3 ordinary typewriters common for the 1940s on a table, and he was told by a lawyer who was in that same room how in return for these powerful legal documents he would receive that were giving him a highly successful legal business, providing court legal briefs that allowed defense lawyers to make winning arguments that he could get convicted criminals free. All this lawyer had to do was stand by these 3 typewriters, and as fast as the documents were being typed by invisible spirits, this lawyer then would feed new sheets of paper in a high stack on the same table so that the invisible demonic spirits doing the typing could keep producing all the legal briefs needed. And this kind of demonic produced material was given to various other persons for various other positions they had after joining the satanic organization. Now, I want you to keep in mind what I just told you wasn't a vision or a dream, but actual occurrences happening in the 1940s in this place of satanic worship in Canada. So by this example, and by my own example I shared, and what happened to Judas, these things give confirmation such a revelation as Emery Prince reported is not fiction, but is just what the Bible says in Ephesians 6. We are dealing with unseen powers and principalities scheming to increase evil for their end. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And they have organized projects, and they use people to carry them out, while these demonic forces provide the materials that help their workers to achieve success out of the ordinary for the work. As the Bible showed, Satan led Judas and he got 30 pieces of silver for it. And how I saw demonic power lead that man over 30 years back to do a task for them. And Roger Morneau's angle of it, showing someone, that lawyer, not possessed, but a willing independent cooperator with these invisible principalities who could interact with the physical, giving him demonic written papers that brought him big money. Because big channels in Brazil like Evangelismo Online have gotten a lot of popularity as one of the first to bring to Brazil heaven and hell testimonies by the likes of Rachel, Angelica, and so on, such channels surged with huge viewers. And from that large following, channels such as his become the target for special work by the demonic principalities, who then leads those who accept to do their work. If you see these channels, you see that the Asushi testimonies often come later after the channel began, when their viewership was built up, and by these demonic influence, fake Asushi testimonies greatly increased their popularity, for some representing money, even unto thousands of dollars.